This is lesson 7, thermometers. What do we measure with a thermometer? So take a minute to think about that, and then we'll share our ideas. If you said that we measure temperature, you are correct. Where or when do people use thermometers? Well, let's see. I'm going to create a list and you see if any of your ideas happen to be on the list. My first thought was to measure the outside and inside temperature. You might also use it to measure your body temperature to see if maybe you have a fever or if you are ill. So you might see a thermometer being used in a hospital, at your home, at the doctor's office. We also use thermometers to measure temperatures when we're cooking. So you might have one on your barbecue. You might have one attached to your microwave, or you might have an individual one that you use to check the internal temperature when you're cooking in your oven. You also might use a thermometer, a special thermometer that goes up into high temperatures to cook, to do your baking if you are making something that's candy. So you're going to use that to cook for cooking and baking. If you have a pool or a hot tub, you might have a thermometer attached to that as well in order to test out the water temperature. Temperature is measured in units called degrees Celsius. The scale of the thermometer is based on the properties of water so that anyone can build his or her own thermometer. This is something that you might be interested in actually trying out. And this is what it looks like when you write the unit for temperature, so in degrees Celsius. 0 degrees Celsius is the temperature at which water freezes. And we actually have a thermometer here, and it's actually showing us right now 0 degrees. Actually, I'm just going to up it a tiny bit. See if we can get it to move. There we go. So now it's actually registering 0 degrees Celsius, which is the temperature that water begins to freeze at. 100 degrees Celsius is the temperature at which water boils. Those are called benchmarks, and they're actually very important benchmarks to keep in mind. Is -5 degrees Celsius hot or cold? Is water at this temperature a liquid or is it ice? Well, -5 degrees Celsius, I'm just going to go back to that thermometer for a minute. -5 degrees Celsius is below the temperature that the thermometer is currently reading. So it would be approximately there. So that means that if you're looking at water that is freezing, and of course water that is freezing would be ice. If I have a piece of ice at -5 degrees Celsius, how much do I have to heat it to make it melt? Well, since water freezes at 0, in order for it to melt, you're going to need to go above 0. And if we go again, back to our thermometer, in order to make this temperature rise and go above 0, we have to go up 5 degrees and then probably 1 more degree, so about 6 degrees in order for us to start to see things melting. If the temperature hot or cold, what are some activities, events you can do at each temperature? Well, obviously 0 degrees Celsius, and we know that water freezes, so anything that you could do outside on ice, you might be able to do at 0 degrees Celsius. It depends on how long it's been 0 degrees Celsius. If it's just become 0 degrees, you wouldn't want to go skating on a lake or a pond, but you definitely are going to need to be bundled up, and you can still go outside and enjoy the weather. And at 5 degrees Celsius, again, it's a little bit more pleasant than 0 degrees, and you can still get outside at that temperature and be able to walk around, go for a bike ride, depending again on what's on the ground. At -10 degrees Celsius, however, you might be looking at being able to play in snow if the snow has fallen, because it's not going to melt at -10 degrees Celsius. It's going to be much colder, so you're going to need to be bundled up. So maybe a little bit more restricted, but you definitely are skating at -10 degrees Celsius. 20 degrees Celsius, however, you are looking at t-shirt weather, possibly shorts weather. You might even go for a swim. At 36 degrees Celsius, you are definitely wanting to go for a swim. That's beach weather, so you might be at the beach. 20 degrees is more pleasant. It's a more comfortable temperature. At 36 degrees Celsius, you're now looking at some hotter temperatures. And at 50 degrees Celsius, you are not outside, that's for sure. 50 degrees Celsius is very warm. The temperature today is 15 degrees Celsius. Yesterday, it was 5 degrees Celsius. What was the temperature yesterday? Sorry, 5 degrees Celsius higher. So we take 15 degrees, and if today it's 15 and yesterday it was higher, that means it was more than 15. You are going to need to add 5 to it to figure out yesterday's temperature, which would have been 20 degrees Celsius. And you'll note when you're writing the degrees that it's a small circle that comes before the capital C. Here we need a thermometer to answer this question. The average temperature in winter is minus 10 degrees Celsius. The average temperature in summer is 25 degrees Celsius. What is the difference, I'm going to underline this word, between the average temperature in winter and in summer? So we know that difference is an indication of subtraction often, but it also is just a difference between two numbers, so the numbers that sit in between. So I'm going to show you minus 10 degrees Celsius. Let's see if we can lower our thermometer here. There's minus 10 degrees Celsius, and we want to move it up to 25 degrees Celsius. So as you move it, you have to first go to 0. So that's 10 degrees that it's gone up. 20 degrees. 30 degrees. 35 degrees. So the difference between minus 10 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Celsius is 35 degrees Celsius. What was the temperature on Monday? So now they're asking us to come up with our own problem to solve. So we're looking for the temperature on Monday. And so what was the temperature on Wednesday? And how much warmer was it on Monday than on Wednesday? Well, I don't have exact numbers, but I do know that it hasn't exactly been warm. And actually, they're showing us on the thermometer. So we're going to use the temperature that they're showing on the thermometers here. So here we can see that the temperature is at 10 degrees. And here we can see that the temperature is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees below 0. That means that we are showing minus 5 degrees Celsius. So the difference between Wednesday, which was minus 5 degrees Celsius, and Monday, which was 10 degrees Celsius, first we have to go up 5 and then up an additional 10. So 5 plus 10 is 15. So it was 15 degrees warmer on Monday than it was on Wednesday. If a jar of water was left outside, hold on, we're going to look at the bottom part of this question. What was it on Monday? Water or ice. What was it on Wednesday? Water or ice. Well, since on Monday it was above 0, it would have been water on Monday. Oops. Water. And on Wednesday, it would have been ice because it was below 0 on Wednesday. And that's it for our lesson.